Yeah, thanks, Jean-Luc. And it's really fun to hang out with y'all today. If anybody here's been to any of our former webinars, you'll know I came to Attune about a year and a half ago when I sold my independent agency. And when I arrived at Attune, I was no stranger to the Attune platform or Neptune Flood. Was a big proponent and customer of both Attune and Neptune. And one reason I loved platforms like these as an IA so much was just the ease of use getting in and out of quotes rapidly, especially with the size of accounts we see hit our desks often here at Attune or Neptune. Speed is key. When we look at the commission rates to pay out on these policies, nobody wants to spend hours or days working accounts these size typically. So, I think we all discovered some interesting facts about flood today, some tidbits. And one thing I have always been so surprised, whether it was my time as a captive agent or my time as an independent agent, was why agents in general were so averse to selling flood. But then you get into the quote flows of not Neptune, but some of your competitors. I don't know if we'd label NFIP a competitor, right? Um, but you go into that, even the revamped 2.0 quote flow, it's painstakingly slow. The applications take a really long time, and it's definitely not a process that you want to replicate and standardize within your agency to do all the time. However, the feeling I've never been more confident in it after walking through yet another demo of the Neptune platform. It's so ridiculously easy to get a flood quote. So I still find myself asking the question, why don't independent agents standardize quoting flood in their agency? And I really think the answer is we should. We should create processes for these within your agency. I really think you should walk away today thinking, how can we set up a standard practice where every time we touch a commercial or personal lines risk that has any property exposure, we should offer them a flood indication? We know that not every insured is going to take you up on an offer for a flood policy. However, by setting up yourselves, your staff, your producers, your CSRs to quote quick flood risks like we can in the Neptune system here, you're going to walk away with a bunch of additional perks that maybe you haven't thought of before. So, kind of going down the list of interesting things we learned today. One takeaway, and Jean-Luc, keep me honest if this data is still accurate, but I think last time I got data from you guys, the average commercial flood claim is like $90,000. Is that right?
That's right.
That's a pretty big claim. That'd be a tough loss to stomach if you didn't have a flood policy and you found out that water came from outside the building, not inside. It'd be a tough combo with an insured come claim time. Um, we have another stat. I don't know if it got referenced today, but is it true that an inch of water inside the business equates to about $25,000 of damage?
That's right. FEMA did a study, and that's their average that they came out with is about an inch of damage is relative to about $25,000. Yeah.
Yeah, ouch. That's another one. I can't imagine some of our small business insureds would want to eat a $25,000 claim because it was raining outside one day. So as an agent, I always like to tell my insureds, hey, oftentimes people think of a flood risk or an exposure as a levee breaking or it raining so hard that rivers are overflowing and causing flash floods. But flood exposure is really just as simple as groundwater entering the building. And we all know with our time in the industry that can happen with the blink of an eye overnight. So when I think back to my time as an agent, the worst night's sleep I would typically get was when a big hailstorm rolled through town here in St. Louis, or when I felt heavy rains coming in and I thought, gosh, I really hope water's not getting into anybody's basement. So one, by automating having flood quoted in your agency on any property exposed risk, you're going to sleep better as the agency owner, right? And that's important. But I think what we're really getting at here is by simplifying and standardizing this process for you at an agency level, if you can know and guarantee that every insured that calls your office that walks through your door is leaving with a flood quote when they're exposed on a property risk, you know that you're going to give yourself ample errors and omissions protection come claim time. Pardon me. Additionally, we've seen from Attune and some different consultations we've done with agencies that by implementing something as simple as a policy declination form at the time of sale, we all collect signatures from our insureds, signed applications on every deal. Ensure that when you're offering recommended coverages, say property, umbrella, flood, and your insured only opts to purchase property from you, make sure you put a document right on top that reflects what additional policies you offered them. Have that insured check the box that they're declining the policy and sign for their no. One, this is great additional errors and omissions protection for you. You can upload that right into your agency management system. What we've actually seen when our agents have implemented processes like this is a lot of insureds at time of signature read that through one more time, think about the risk, and a decent percentage, almost 10% of these folks will end up calling your agency back saying, you know what, John Luke, I thought about it. I think I want to actually go ahead and purchase that flood policy. Can we redo some of the paperwork? And I think we'd all be okay redoing a DocuSign packet to get an extra policy sold come bind time. So as we think this through in the context of how ridiculously easy those quotes for flood we just saw were, standardize these processes within your agencies. I think it's become a general best practice for agents to offer umbrellas or excess coverage. At Attune, we see just as important as offering these flood risks or these flood quotes to every customer that has that property exposure. We make it really easy during our Bob flow to get the indication. Click through, print the quote, offer it to your insureds every time. You're going to see an increase in policies per client. You're going to see an increase in revenue. You're definitely going to see increased errors and omissions protection here. The added benefit is sleeping better at night when it's raining. This is a win across the board.